believe in yourself and unleash that power. It's do or die time. So draw out all your strength.
Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? This is Samuel Leggett here, representing TeamJVS, here to give you guys a review for the new Dragon Ball Super movie, Dragon Ball Superhero, or Dragon Ball Z Superhero. The backdrop of this is, if you remember Dr. Gero, who played a pivotal role in the Cell Saga, and you guys are Dragon Ball Z fans, Dr. Gero helped create the androids. Of course, he created Cell and everything in between. Now, years later, Dr. Gero's grandson, Dr. Hito, that's actually being voice acted by Zach Gallagher. If you know who Tanjiro is, of course you know. But he is on a genius level as well, but he has a incessant need of creating heroes. He feels like what happened in the past needs to be changed, but in doing that, he creates something new. He creates Gamma 1, Gamma 2. Gamma 2 is being voice acted by Zeno, which I'll go into that a little bit later on. We've got some things we got to talk about with that. But the Z Fighters start to see that things start to be weird because they know that the presence of the Red Ribbon Army is potentially coming back, and they are connected with Dr. Hito. Now, the other thing about this is that this is a Piccolo and Gohan centric movie. Now, I'm going to get into everything about the looks and the feels with this. It's a non-spoiler review, but I will say that, this is very much so more a Piccolo film. So Chris Abbott gets a lot to work with in this one. But shout out to Kyle Herbert being back as Gohan. And it is very interesting to see what happens when the lines are crossed. Because Pan is appearing in this one. And she's of age. She's trying to learn how to fly. And now her life is potentially in jeopardy. What happens then? Will Gohan step up? So that's the backdrop of it. What did I think about the film? I think that this is a very interesting film because coming off of Dragon Ball Super in general, just Dragon Ball Super, I really was impressed by Dragon Ball Super, specifically the back half of it. I was like, Ultra Instinct, I didn't suspect that they even had that, level. And I didn't expect to have like a Black Goku and be like, yo, this is memorable, But then when the Brawly movie came out, and he was a combination of 2D, CG, and it was just intense. It was everything. When I first saw the trailer for this one, I was kind of put off because it was very much so CG. I was kind of like, what is this? I don't know. Is this a game? Is this a movie? I really had no idea. So going into this, I had very low expectations. I had a very low bar. I was curious to see where things were going to go. But one thing that every DBZ fan has in their heart is to look at Gohan and say, Gohan, you're meant to be better. Can you be better? And, the very opening of this is like he's still in his books. It's very interesting because he's also kind of being like, not a deadbeat dad like his dad, but he's so focused on his studies, he's not paying attention to his own daughter, which is very fascinating. And like generations before, Piccolo is taking Pan underneath his wing. I thought that Pan and Piccolo were awesome. I loved them in this one. Pan specifically, because I thought she was going to come off annoying, but no, like she's actually really cool. She's definitely the comedic relief. She's what I was hoping that Goten was going to be, which is fascinating. Even Trunks at a younger age. I think Trunks was definitely more interesting in Dragon Ball Z than Goten, but I love Pan in this one as a character. I think she did a really good job with that. But with Piccolo in this one, they give Piccolo a lot. They have him interacting with everything. A lot of this is literally on Piccolo's back because on the other side of things, Broly, Goku, and Vegeta are doing something else, which I'm not going to go into, not going to talk about. But it's very interesting. The end of this film, the very last end scene, I've hoped for a very long time, and I'm glad it happened. That's all I'm going to say. But the way they use the Red Ribbon Army, where they use Dr. Hito, it's very interesting. I think that they make uses of a really interesting character in Dr. Hito. I didn't expect some of the things that they did. Some things were kind of predictable, and I kind of was like, I think you could have pulled back here and leaned in more on a darker side of where things could go. But they tried to keep it really light. There wasn't a lot of feeling of like stakes going on, but there were some moments, specifically in the third act, I was like, oh. And I think that helped the progression of Kyle Herbert's character in Gohan. Gohan in this one, he's kind of pushed a little bit. I think that even in the Dragon Ball Super tournament, I think he was pushed a little bit more so. But this one, there was a actual motivation. There was something tangible, like visceral, that he had to look at and be like, I got to do something, kind of thing. And I think that the result of that is very interesting, and how they handle that was very interesting. So I was for that. I think when the explosives and a lot of the things were like 360, I think that's where the CG definitely worked. But when it's just baseline and regular, for me, for my taste, I am a 2D purist. I think it was a touch too much CG throughout, because a lot of the times when the characters is kind of still, it's off-putting. When they're moving, it's okay. When they're making vibrant movements, but it's kind of like, what's a good example? If you look at My Dress Up Darling, right? My Dress Up Darling, if you look at that, there's a combination, there's a poignant conversation of a lot of this is CG, but it's also 2D animation. I was really hoping for that to give us more emotion and more connection to these characters. I think it works in terms of like the action and like the movements and stuff like that, and getting excited about a transformation or something like that. But when it's just the characters being still, it's feelings of off-puttingness. And it makes me feel like I'm in a video game, which I didn't necessarily get behind. In terms of the story and the pacing with it, I think the story is a little light. And because it's a little light, I don't feel like it's enough to have a lot of rewatchability. Whereas like the Brawling movie, or even like, Resurrection F, like there's moments in that I was like so rewatchable. But there are things that happen, of course, in the second and third act in this one that I would watch again, for sure, but it's just not the same. And I was hoping for a little bit more to push to go where I think that DBZ can really go, or Dragon Ball Super can go. And I don't even know what's going to happen after this film. As far as Dragon Ball Super, is it going to be something completely different? I am excited. The Dragon Ball Z fan in me, the Dragon Ball fan in me, definitely, will always rally behind Dragon Ball. I will always see what they're going to do next. And we did have a great conversation with the cast to get their input on their characters and what people have always said, what people have always wanted, and what this movie kind of gave for that, which is really good. Those things and what people have expected and hoped for, there are definitely moments with that. But then there's also the other side of that, where I think the visceral connection and the off-puttingness of the CG at times, and then where things don't progress necessarily, the stakes don't feel like they're really like, oh, this is a life-threatening situation. But there are moments. There are definitely moments. So I'm back and forth with this one. I'd rest it at a 6.5 out of 10. It's between a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. It's definitely something that, I think works when it works. But then I can see somebody saying, no, I will not do this. And for me, I'm a critic, and I also am a Dragon Ball Z fan. But I'm a fan of everything entertainment. So if it's initially that I had an expectation that the CG was going to be that, then I went in knowing, okay, this is what it is. But what is the movie giving me? What is the movie elevating for me as a fan? And unfortunately, there are things that just kind of didn't work like that. But I still think it is, it's enough to say it's worth the watch at least. But let me know what you think of Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. And if you look somewhere over here or over here, I'm not really sure, you'll check out possibly some of our interesting conversations with the voice cast. Thank you again, Funimation, for the opportunity to be able to go and check it out. We will talk to you guys soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button. Peace, people.